the one over on Emmer. That's between 8 and 8.5. What that amount is, as per last week's discussion, that takes care of the sag portion of the sag. That's about 1.25 inches in depth. And so the idea on this one is to fill that up with actually a concrete type material, and then they'll overlay it with a polymer after they're finished. So now there is a smaller one slightly to the south of it, but it's not as much. So we shouldn't see as that rideability be an issue.
Shouldn't be severe.
That's correct.
Okay, so motion 2020-30A, based on the recommendation of the county engineer, move to approve the change order number 3, the project number B19-1308M with PBX Corporation, repair a sag in the center span of bridge number 116 for $37,450. The contract price before this change order was $154,982, with approved change orders 1 and 2, and incorporating this change order number 3 to the net contract price of $192,432.
I'll move.
Bob moved, second.
I'll second.
Don seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
And the second one, just to give you some information on, is that's bridge number 24. That's Old Highway 50. That's the overpass bridge. What that amounted to is when they had removed the asphalt off of that concrete approach, then the asphalt remaining back to the east was actually elevated. When they had milled that portion off, then we found asphalt that needed to be replaced. So that was a section of asphalt. It was about 3 foot wide at that particular location, and there were some gouges that needed to be smoothed out and actually more hot mix asphalt added. So all of those things were done. Actually, were done last week. This is something I discussed. And so the change order on that is the $2,257.50. Now, I'm going to go beyond that for just a moment. There is a bump there on the northeast corner of that bridge. It was not necessarily expected, but at that point, what you're dealing with is not the bridge. You're dealing with actually the concrete approach. And so in the concrete approach, there's 3 methods to be able to correct that. One would be to actually add asphalt back onto that concrete. Now, we've had this discussion before. You don't want to put asphalt back on the bridge with a polymer overlay, but on a concrete approach, that is not as a major concern as it would be on the bridge. So one is we could take care of it with adding asphalt to fill in that low area where it has sunk, because when you look at it, that's what took place. That's one option. Option 2 is see about a contractor that can actually lift it through actually grouting, pumping, where they'd be able to lift the slabs. And then our option 3 would be to jackhammer that whole concrete approach out and then replace the concrete approach. And so those are the 3 options. Mine at this point would be looking at the asphalt. I'd say let's go ahead and put in the asphalt, because if we go to the other extreme would be to go ahead and remove the concrete approach. So that's what I'll be looking at as far as pricing and seeing what a contractor would do for pricing. But once again, it's a small volume of asphalt, but that is definitely one approach to take care of it.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I don't know when you worked on it last week, but last Thursday, I wouldn't want to go over 55 mile an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to see that you're doing something with it. And I think you're probably right. The asphalt is the best route when you consider everything else on that road. So
That's where we're at right now. We do have a sign. Basically, we are advising of the bump speed limit down to 45. But once again, it was already pre-existing. The existing asphalt just covered it, and so obviously you didn't feel the bump at that point. But once that asphalt was removed, then we were left with the approach that we see today.
On that approach, Wayne, is that part of the contract?
No, not even.
Is it something that we can do rather than hire someone outside to do?
It is possible, yes. We don't deal so much with hot mix. We can, and we do spread hot mix occasionally, but we don't have a laydown machine for it. But it is something that we could probably feather in, and that probably would be the case on this particular one, because it's such a small volume We get charged quite a bit, when we bring in the contractor for a small volume.
That's what I was thinking.
What type of volume you thinking?
Probably less than one truck on that one.
Oh, okay.
So it'd be just a matter of feathering it out, what you're dealing with. And it's just at the corner, the northeast corner. But this change order takes care of the work that was done by PBX through a subcontractor of Bettis. This was the agreed amount that we had for the change order. So that's the motion you have before you.
Okay, so motion 2020-30B, based upon the recommendation of county engineer, move to approve the change order number 2 for the project number B19-1308M with BBX Corporation for the approach pavement repair on bridge number 24 for $2,257.57. Contract price for this change order was $261,016 with the approved change order number 1 and incorporating this change order to the net contract price of $263,273.50.
I'll move.
Ready to move? Second?
I'll second.
John is seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
As I say, they may take us a couple of weeks to get to it. We're in the middle of our chip seals right now. So that's where we're at. I also have, for some of my talking points, I would like to go ahead and, if you approve, with the assistance of the county clerk, to go ahead and schedule pre-dump week. And this would be for October the 12th through the 17th. And this would be the motion that would go along with that. And so that way we can get the schedules out to the cities. The cities would have some time to discuss it before their meetings or after meetings, and then be ready for the landfill. What we do on this is we ask the city or the county clerk to publish the notification and then give notice to the cities if you approve. Keeping in mind that here last spring we had pre-dump month, but this would be pre-dump week.
Shouldn't be expecting too much stuff then.
I would say that's probably would be the case. I would hope that would be the case, but.
Anybody have any discussion on this? If not, based on the recommendation of county engineer, move to designate October 12th through the 17th, 2020 as fall cleanup week and request the county clerk to publish notice of the same.
Second that.
Did I get a first? I didn't hear it first.
I move.
Okay. Tim has moved. Need a second?
I'll second.
Fred has seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. These others are just discussion points and some input from you as well, but one of the discussion points would be to let you know that we do have a repair on a 1996 Broyce Power Broom. It's the older one in our fleet. It has over 7,000 hours on the broom. Right now, the hydrostatic drive is out. It's going to cost for that and a few other parts somewhere around $5,000 to do the repairs onto it. So just to let you know, there will be a bill here in the next month or so that's going to come through, and it'll be on that item. We do have 2 brooms. I would say that we have evaluated it. This would probably be one of the last major repairs that we have on this type of broom. We looked at different options too, so possibly, if it does break down, possibly we look at rental as an option, but right now it is something that is being utilized in the fleet.
Or is Craig fixing it, or are we sending it out somewhere?
No, Craig will be putting the parts onto it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. That gives me an opportunity to let you know too, we do have a great team in the shop with the mechanics. Craig is a very talented individual, does a lot of the work, that we do not ship out. And so we sure appreciate everybody's there working at the shop. So, okay, the next one is community planning. This is something that we had actually started the end of last year, coming into the beginning of this year, and then COVID's took over a lot of our times and changed the way that we have meetings. And this is the discussion that we had, and we were approved for Cook Flat Strobel to come down and do actual community meetings. They would come in and visit about the needs for infrastructure, mostly focusing on roads and bridge and the things that the community would be looking for, things that we would be planning in short term and midterm and long term. And mine is how could I go ahead and proceed with that? Because my idea on this is to have meetings where we would have the community come into a building or an area and then be able to discuss it. But with the COVID-19 and the mask and different things like that, how can we do it? One of the first thoughts was just to go ahead and meet with the cities, that they could meet with the cities and ask them kind of what's on their wish list, their bucket list of things that they'd like to see. And maybe that might be the first approach, but ultimately it will also involve the community at some point, to have the community involved, to have opportunities to listen to their concerns and what their needs would be. And so what's your thoughts on that? How would you like me to proceed with that one?
I think going with the cities would be the appropriate way, because hopefully the cities that know what's going on in their communities, so they would have a good idea, and community support after that, which hopefully all this stuff is gone, would be maybe a better chance for community then, because the cities probably take care of a lot of things community people are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory.
Okay.
I think that'd be a way to start.
All right.
See how it evolves.
Okay.
And that kind of gets us back to the original plan. You know, we originally kind of targeted to have the city meetings, so
Mm-hmm. That's right.
hopefully we can do that and have a lot of positive information come out of it.
Okay.
So, and do it in a safe way.
Right. So,
I would agree with all that. Excuse me.
okay.
I do see where the city's proceeding on that city dam wall, though. They got it out for bid, so
Mm-hmm.
that was nice to see.
Well, I know we didn't get anywhere as far as the additional intersection design, as far as widening the highway over there on near Dairy Queen, such as that. But
Well, that was a KDOT share thing, though.
yeah, we did not get anywhere on that. But those type of projects could also be brought up in these community meetings as well, because we're going to be looking at different ways of funding. And I would say that what you're seeing now is you're seeing KDOT to ask communities to get involved, not only of what their wish lists are, but also monetarily as well, to come in basically with those plans. You also see too that those type of developments, for that particular one, for example, if it was shovel ready, meaning that we've already had a set of plans waiting on the shelf, then you would possibly even see a higher ranking in the selection process too. And so that's where you're going to see is limited funds on the state side. And the more we're prepared for that through like these type of meetings, where we get actually a consultant involved, and maybe even move forward where the cities would actually work with a consultant to bring forward those plans. I think that would better help the community as well. But with this all being said, community planning is, we'll start the scheduling to meet with the cities.
That'd be great.
And then after that, we'll see what takes place and when we can meet with the community. So. All right, the next one is county auction. I know I brought this up a couple months back. It's just a food for thought. If it's something that you'd like to move forward on, I just wanted to let you think about county auction. That, or we pass it on to next year.
Do you have a lot of stuff?
We have a few items. We don't have a list, but we do have a few items. Is it to the point where, we're busting out the seams? No. Do we have some guardrail, that we can actually dispose of? But it's sitting right now at the landfill.
You know, the original thought on that guardrail was gonna keep it as our inventory, so it would be available for other projects down the road.
And
Has
that's,
that changed a little bit, or you?
no, we actually have more guardrail than what we would have for that type of project. And so that's where we would find, the opportunity to dispose of some guardrail. But yes, that plan still exists, and that plan still is moving forward. And the selection or remaining portion of the guardrail would be inventoried for that. So we'd still have that.
Wayne, why don't you get with the clerk and have them get with all the department heads, see what we might have. I mean, we don't have to have a great big auction, and you might as well move this stuff on, and if there's some of the county citizens who might be able to use some of it, we might as well be getting it out to them. That's my thinking.
All right.
That was gonna be my next question, what other departments have stuff ready to unload, so, or,
I know Todd keeps quite a bit of it. You know, sort of, Todd keeps quite a bit of it,
oh, yeah.
you know, for recycling. So stuff from the offices and such as that basically goes to Todd.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll get with Angie and see.
And talk to Todd too, see how much.
Get back with us.
Biggest one on that is bringing everybody together. Once again, you have the COVID-19, how do you do that? But it is outside.
Well, they had one August 13th.
Yeah, there's been quite a
It
few.
wasn't
There's
counted,
been-
but they're going on.
They're going on.
We had a demolition derby with 3,000 people, and we didn't have any cases from that, so.
That's a good point.
If they don't want to come to the auction, they don't have to come to the auction.
That's a good point, Bob. You're right. Okay, construction zone, what you have there is landfill construction. We're basically just trimming the cell right now, getting it ready for the liner. Erosion repair. And we're doing our double chip seal on a few locations. That's grinding over there on 7th. And so we have that one. And then we also have in the books over there in Leroy as well. And so we have that project, be doing the double chip seal. That's where we grind, do the penetration oil. We allow the penetration oil to set for at least 1 day. Then we come back and do the double chip seal on top of that. Mowing countywide. And then we're also placing some signs too. And one of them is, Bob, we talked about some curb signs. So we're in the process of doing those. So that's my report. Does you have any questions?
Is Old Highway 50 still closed?
No. Old Highway 50 is still not, so you found that, okay,
Temporary road closures at Old
Yes.
Highway 50.
that's correct. No, just Oxen Lane, 8th and 9th. But thank you for catching that, Bob. It was opened up Friday.
Thank you, Wayne.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Brad, can you go ahead and bring that drawing stuff down? Thanks. We'll have that here in a minute. Instead of wasting a bunch of paper, I just went ahead and made a couple motions. So you'll move to enter as a board of canvassers at, whatever time Brian gets down here, to draw a break, the tie vote for a Ottumwa Township treasurer. And then we'll move to adjourn as a board of canvassers at whatever time and return as a board of county commissioners, so.
Good.
Just so you know, Ottumwa Township is an inactive township in the county, but we still elect officers even though they do not do anything. If you were to abolish it, then the county would be responsible for anything in that township that would come up, and so it's always just remained an inactive. We elect people, but they don't have any duties or responsibilities, so. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready here. Brad's here.
Okay.
Ready to enter the board of canvassers at 9:25 to break the tie vote for Tama County Treasurer.
Need a motion? John moved. I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
What I have is, I just printed the two candidates' names on slips of paper here, 7 for each of them, just to make it more random than it might otherwise be. If there were just 2 slips of paper in there. And this is, I don't know if Angie has explained to you how this came about.
Yes,
It's kind of a,
well,
The tie, as we were going through each of our reports, this tie came up. We missed seeing the other name on the report, so we just got to break the tie. It's happened before the same way. We've come across a township that,
and not that it matters, but it's a treasureless treasurer. There's a inactive township, a Tumblr Township. Do you want to do this, Tom, or do you want?
where'd it go?
Somewhere there.
Jennifer Stick.
who was the other candidate?
The other candidate was Sean Downey. They each received three votes, write-in votes. And I didn't catch it, and I apologize for that. It was not something where we were focusing our attention. I should have seen it anyway. Well, it spread over 2 things, and it was just one of those things that flew by. So anyway, we dealt with it, and thank you very much.
So then move to adjourn as a board of canvassers at,
9:27.
and return as a board of county commissioners.
Bob has moved. Been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Yeah, thank you. Greg, you seconded.
Yes. Well, we're kind of 10 minutes ahead of schedule. Leroy Mayor, Christine Williams.
How you guys today?
Good morning.
All right. Thank you for seeing me today. I'm the mayor of Leroy. My name is Christine Williams. I'm here to ask for a 2-part question or a request. We get infrastructure from you guys, and we don't have any major projects going on this year besides the chip and seal that Mr. Blackburn informed you about earlier. We'd like to, we're partnering with the Burlington Housing Authority to build a structure, a triplex on the corner of 58 and Main Street in Leroy. It was a property that fell down, and we've got it cleaned up at this point. I was hoping Rhonda would be here. So we'd like to use $50,000 of our infrastructure money to build this historic looking triplex on the corner of 58 and Main. And we are partnering with the Housing Authority for this project. This $50,000 will help with the grant process, because the city and community needs to put money towards the grant to ensure that we are invested in the grant process. Like I said, Rhonda Gilbert can explain more about the grant process and the particular building. So I'd like to ask for, I know that's not usually what we use infrastructure money for, but in our situation, we'd like to try to put those funds towards the building. And also on the infrastructure part of that, I would like to ask if we could also, if you would approve this, use 18,000 of our infrastructure money to go towards a LED sign that is also to help with securing this grant. And the LED sign, we've already looked at it, it's very awesome. Well, probably more newer than the hospital sign down here or the trust points. But this would help with posting restrictions due to COVID, whether it be gatherings or closing or general updates when we have below water advisories or chlorine burnout and road and street structures. It's just a nice thing to add to your community. And as y'all know, Leroy is a very small community. So if we had that to give updates on the spur of the moment at the corner and people would know where to look at, it would be awesome. So.
Ron is here.
Yeah, she just showed up. Would you like to say something?
I just came here with, just to support Christine to see if, there would be any money towards the grant funds, but I'm working on it. I don't have a complete set of prints yet, so I'm trying to get all my information together.
I have a sample set.
Okay, Christine, the LED sign, where would that be located, and would that be for all public things in the city?
Yes, and it would be programmable by the clerk at the city hall so that you could add things within, like in 5 seconds, it shows up.
Okay, my thinking on the LED sign, that is within the guidelines anyway, so that's probably something that you could do anyway with the man.
Okay,
As far as you said, historic looking complex, does it resemble back to the city of Leroy or historic? Would you explain that a little farther?
it's a brick base, come up here. It's a brick base triplex. So it's supposed to be a story and a half, 2-story.
A story and a half. It'll be like bricked on the, that's okay. I can find it right quick. It'll be bricked on the east side and the north side. And.
So you have a rough sketch?
Yes.
Around, yes, yes.
Awesome.
The windows up above will be kind of fake, but it will be able to get the lighting down to it and everything. It's just something that'll kind of look really good, I think, in
It'll blend
the
in with
city.
the
Yes, that's what we're trying to go for,
Yeah.
because my triplex here in Burlington, that would not work there, so it was.
It's a nice triplex,
Yeah.
but it's not what we want on the corner.
Right.
Because all of those buildings are
Right, great.
the brick buildings, yes. And the one that fell down was a brick building, so.
This is my thinking on it, and I know when the county gave the infrastructure money, one of the guidelines was it could not be used for salaries, was one of the basic things it was. I know we have allowed other communities to use infrastructure money for a few things that were not definitely spelled out within there. I think maybe it's time that we give the money to the cities. If the city approaches it and thinks that that is probably one of the best advantages for the city, I'm not necessarily opposed to that fact. I still say you cannot use it for salaries. But other than that, I'm not real sure just how far our guidelines go. I think they are questionable on some other things. So that's my thinking on it.
Awesome.
My thinking is, it would be structure for you. I mean, we have a-
I believe it would. I mean, it's gonna add to our downtown. And like I said, it will generate some nice housing in our community and bring some hopefully nice people into the community as well.
Right, yeah, it won't be for low income, it has to be moderate income, just like my triplex is. And, and I currently have had like well, I'm just having one finally move out. I've had it full the whole time, but, she worked at the hospital, and then one works at Countertop Trends, and the other one worked at Hoover's for a while. And, so anyway, we want that moderate income, because there's a lot of low housing out there, and then, they are trying to gear those towards the moderate, so it will be definitely geared towards that.
Making this two-story, is that going to leave some people an opportunity of looking that's not gonna be able to use 2 stories?
We're not, it's gonna look it, it's not gonna be it.
It's just gonna look it?
Yeah, we're gonna have that slanted roof and
Okay.
everything, metal roof. It just, we wanted to give it some height, but, we didn't wanna do, the apartments up above. We do have to have some handicap accessible, definitely in the moderate income grant. And, so it's just gonna have that fake look, but it will also give light. So we'll have the higher ceilings, so it should be kind of neat.
Go
How
ahead.
much is that fake look gonna cost?
Well, actually, we don't have the bids in yet. I'm getting all my prints supposedly by the end of this week, then I will bid it out. Roughly, my engineer's been doing some over in Emporia, and, he kind of guessed it to be in the 442, something like that range. So,
The whole complex,
the whole complex and everything.
not just
Not
the
the
look.
fake, no. I can't tell you, until I get my bids in, I can't tell you exactly that. But we were trying to make it, where we're not gonna have a lot of maintenance, because we do have to maintain it for 5 years, whoever writes for the grant, just like I do the one here in Burlington. And,
So with the fake look, if you use brick up for the building, you thought about the artificial brick from there on up? I'm sure it'd be a lot less expensive than brick.
yeah, like I said, we have not bid anything out yet, so that could definitely be.
We're hoping that Vernon Mark will get the bid. I am. And they know how to do the decorative bricking at the top, so if we have to go down to a story and a half, they can make the top of that look really nice. So it will tie in with other buildings there in Leroy.
I guess my answer would be that I'm not opposed to it if the city thinks that's something appropriate that they would like to use their money for, but I will say this, and I said this to a couple other communities when they came in. Don't come back in and ask for more infrastructure money to do a project when you spend for this. But good luck with it.
I had thought, I wondered if the sign that you're talking about would qualify under the grant, the emergency.
That's a question for
preparedness
her, that's why I was.
Oh,
That the emergency preparedness is working
Oh.
on for us now for the
I could definitely-
pandemic
no, I could definitely check with
CARES program. I couldn't think of the name of it, but
I do not know that, but I could
that would
definitely.
be a legitimate expense, I would think,
Yeah.
that could come under that.
Doesn't that have to be tied to the COVID-19 virus?
Right, but she just said that they would be using it for that purpose.
Yeah, for putting certain signage up on it, but I'm not
Right.
sure how well
Yeah,
it
I
would
don't
fall.
know.
But then it'd be great if it did.
Yeah.
It'd be great
Well,
to check
since we're a
that.
small community, that would be one way of spreading the word. Of what's going on.
That's
Because
what
we
I
don't have
should look
it.
into it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good idea.
Yep, thank you.
Who manages this rental property when you get it constructed?
We have 2 for 5
Is
years.
the housing
Or
authority?
whoever writes for the grant. If the city wanted to write the grant and do it all, then they would have to. But they're asking me to do it since I did the one here. But
So
now I
you
have-
manage it, the housing authority manage it for 5 years?
for at least 5 years. We can keep it longer, of course, but we could sell it at that time if we wanted to. Because we need to make sure moderate income families are being in there and to see how well that goes, which it's been very successful here, so.
When you're
But
5
show-
years
show-
up here,
Yeah, showing the image, up a story and a half or 2 stories, they do have that, I shouldn't say fake brick.
Yeah.
Because it is really nice product that I've seen, because I've seen it in a couple of houses, but there'd be a lot less weight with it. True. And so it'd be less weight, structural, wouldn't that be built quite as strong?
Right.
Plus the cost savings involved in it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's why we're doing the front and the side, just so it's the back and the other
Because
side is
you
not.
eliminate 80% of the weight
Right.
going on that. And you could even start at the bottom and go up the back. Which would be or more cost saving. And it looks fantastic, because you get that in every design there is.
Your question is, I'm on my 3rd year.
under the 30 year, I couldn't remember how long it was. You plan on selling
That would be my board's decision. So I can't really speak for them. We haven't discussed it yet. It's been very successful. That money that I am getting is generating to go back into this one. And the money I will get there will go into the next one where we go. I'd kind of like to maybe go to Waverly, I think, next. If I can get some lots over there, so.
What grants are available out there now? 80%, 90%?
Well, they don't want to tell you
I
what.
know that's a moving target.
Yeah. When I was writing for the first triplex, they said if I could match the funding, I would be in very good shape. And then I did get it. I didn't get the first year that I wrote for, but then I kind of went back at them and I said, you're not doing too much over in this area of the state. And so I said, what can I do to make it better and stuff? And so anyway, having the grant coming off the funding really is good. Leverage, the city, then putting in, that's gonna look real good and stuff. So I can't tell you, I usually try to shoot for, splitting it, because then you only have half the cost too. I will have to take probably out a loan of sorts to finish up, because I do not have a full, if it comes in the 400, I don't have a full 200,000 to put up for matching, so.
But we'll be closer if you,
Yeah.
You want to-
we'll be closer to matching those funds if you approve this.
Do we need to put that in motion?
Yes.
And so I will make the motion to approve the city of Leroy to use $50,000 of infrastructure funding for their triplex project.
In contingent, I get it.
In contingent, yes. She gets her, right?
I'll second that.
I moved on second, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Good luck.
That'd be a huge plus for that corner.
I think it will be. I'm so excited about it, so thank you again.
Thank you. Seem to be running 10 minutes ahead.
You want me to go get Russell?
You just walked by a second ago, actually. But yeah, let's do that. When you get a chance to make up one of these, that's just my, I'm done. I like that.
He'll be right in. He's
Okay,
making
thank you.
a copy.
Morning, Russell.
Morning.
We're running a little ahead, so we thought we'd squeeze in there.
So, it's green, it's on, right?
To my knowledge, yes.
Right.
If it's green, it's on.
Yes.
So the CRF task force met again Friday. Some of, primarily the hospital staff has contacted me. They have concerns about going ahead and getting stuff ordered until they have a firm number on what they'll be granted from the CARES Act funds. And so we had a combination online in-person meeting Friday with the committee. And the numbers you see on the right-hand column are what the committee is recommending be allotted for those different agencies. Particularly, we're talking about today the cities, the hospital, and the schools. And so, my request on behalf of the committee for the commission is to get a relatively firm decision on this is the amount of dollars that we're going to, the commission, this is the recommendation from the task force for the commission to allot for these different agencies. And the purpose of going ahead and making that decision now is that it will give them the level of comfort to go ahead and start ordering things, knowing that at a minimum of these dollars will be allowed. The exception was on the hospital. I think for right now, they wanted to do, and I would need to go double check that. Since I came in early, I didn't have a chance to double check that. I think the amount is going to be 500,000 now, with the assumption that it would be the extra 190, the 690 total later, but tell them without something unforeseen happening, but to basically guarantee them that at a minimum, the hospital at $500,000 and probably the 690, but $500,000 at a minimum. The cities, those amounts, and the schools, those amounts allocated. Not necessarily talking about the others, Crosswinds or COF right now, but primarily the hospital at $500,000, and then the 6 cities and the 3 school districts at those amounts listed. And so I'm here to see if the commission has any questions on those, and if the commission is comfortable basically writing a letter, or having Wade write a letter, or me write a letter that the commission signs, or a combination of all of this to those agencies, in particular the hospital, but the hospital, the cities, and the school districts, stating that these dollar amounts, $500,000 for the hospital, and then those other amounts for those other entities, is where we are firm and where we'll be going forward, so that they have the comfort level of going ahead and ordering things.
Besides the amounts, is there someone making approval of the actual purchase itself?
So there's the guidance put out by the state, and then, so following that guidance, some of it is very clear, and then there's some items that people want that start getting gray. And so they would have a lot of things that are crystal clear. They know those are gonna be approved. Then there's some things that are getting a little grayer that they may not want to order right away. But Wade is working on a document, and I think has it pretty substantially completed, that any entity that we sub-grant money to basically will sign and says, yes, we're going to follow the guidance, because ultimately the county is responsible for the things they purchase. But with at least the hospital and the cities, if they were to purchase something that was later deemed ineligible, we have the ability through infrastructure funds and other funds that we give to them to get the money back, if you will, if the county didn't want to do it. We aren't writing them a check right now. They still have to submit their items that they're actually going to purchase. Those will then be sent to the state for actual approval. And then after that is when we would actually cut them a check. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I just didn't want us to get in the crack by guaranteeing that they would be eligible for that money in case the purchase didn't qualify.
Right. There's, like I said, there's lots of things that's crystal clear. It's obvious it qualifies. Then there's some things that get into, that gets iffier and iffier. And the farther you go down the list, maybe iffier and iffier. Not just the hospital, any entity, but.
I understood when we started that the state would be making approval of some of these items before they were actually purchased.
Yes, we submitted our spending plan and we're just waiting on them.
So wouldn't we know in advance whether that qualified or not?
We will know when the state returns their review, but everybody else across the nation is starting to order these things. And so if we wait to get these things ordered, we're gonna be farther down the list, and the chances of not being able to spend the money by December, our chances are gonna be reduced. The hospital in particular says we don't order nothing until we know for sure how much money we're getting. Because right now, they don't have any assurance for sure how much money they're getting. And so the whole purpose of this is to give them the assurance that, hey, you're gonna get at least $500,000. And so that you can feel comfortable going ahead and ordering up to at least that $500,000 because you're gonna get that minimum upfront. Otherwise, they're gonna sit and they're gonna wait and they're gonna order anything until that state report gets back. And they're gonna be that much farther down the list on their suppliers because there'll be 100 other entities that have placed their orders in theory.
That's the question I had. If the supplier cannot ship items prior to 12/31,
Then they're not eligible.
but how's the hospital gonna know?
Well, that would,
I'm gonna know if the items are available prior to 12/31, because the money's gotta be spent.
so if they place an order and the vendor says, yes, it can ship in 30 days, it can ship in 60 days, then that's eligible. And if there's a supply, the terminology the state's been using is that there's a supply chain disruption. So if in good faith you ordered that September 1st, and they said, yeah, we'll ship it in 60 days, and then 60 days rolls around, and they say, oh, it's been back ordered, there's a delay, then that is still okay if it goes past December. But if you order something September 1st or December 1st, and they say, oh, ship date is January, then it's not eligible.
So it still comes down to some good faith by
Right,
some of the suppliers.
absolutely. And they're, we all know there's all kinds out there. There could be some suppliers that say, oh yeah, we'll get it to you. And then it doesn't show up. But if they have sure, if they have documentation that says we ordered it, X day, and they said it'll ship within 30 days or 60 days, and that's documented, then the state says that's okay. But if you order it today, and they say the ship date is January 2nd, that's not okay.
So you actually have some small businesses that have asked for a total of 176,000.
The red number, the 107,832,
107 here.
is what has actually been on paper requested from us right now. The one 50,000 of that is from one business. The vast majority of those are 2,000 to 4,000 or 5,000. I think there's 32. That was all right. 11 businesses have requested at 107, and 50 of it roughly is from one business. The 176 is what the committee has budgeted, if you will.
Mhm.
And what that number is 10%.
Right.
And that's what the committee held out for the county, is that 176. And so like the commission talked previously, the commission said, that 176 is there. If the small business requests go above their 176, the county can move money out of the county's money over into that small business one. It'll be the commission's discretion. If the business applications really ramp up,
Once this list hits the state, though, not all of it's going to be, possibly not all of it will be approved anyway, correct?
possibly.
So based off all that, I don't see why we couldn't proceed from my standpoint.
Why is such a variance in cities? All cities should have some of the same.
That's what they asked for. Those are the numbers that each city asked for.
So the two cities with the lesser numbers really didn't ask for a lot.
Right. So like on the school districts, they all, well, you can see what they asked for on the left. The school districts, the 3 school districts, asked for 340, 193, and 198. The committee decided that's one thing that made the hospital nervous is originally the committee said 50% for healthcare agencies, which right now the only things we're classifying as healthcare is the hospital and Crosswind. COF, we're kind of going back and forth. Like the committee Friday decided to put them under small business. They probably could be under healthcare. I mean, it could go either way. But since at least as of Friday, there's less requests than what we budgeted on a small business, I think the committee felt it made more sense to put them under small business. That's where there was technically more money available according to the budget. But one thing the hospital nervous is originally the committee said 50% for healthcare and 20% for the schools. And then in the following meeting, the committee said, well, let's adjust that. Let's take that down 40% for healthcare and bump the schools up to 30%. And so then that's where that 176,028 number comes from, it's 10%. And the committee decided to split it 3 ways, 3 school districts, regardless of what they asked for. But the committee felt like on the cities, funding, and that's just what the committee decided. The board has the ultimate decision on how to do it, but that's the recommendation from the task force.
Well, we don't need to have a task force. We're gonna not approve of what they suggested, so I don't have a problem.
Yeah, they have the assigned responsibilities.
Right, and for me, it looks like it's balanced out fairly well, and when he says the cities have basically what they asked for, then you can't do any better than that.
I made a comment last week or maybe 2 weeks ago.
We have something else?
Yeah, just brought to my attention, City of Leroy. I think their sign, they were talking about 18,000, but here I see the amount requested is 12,000, amount allotted is 12,000. So if they go back in and ask for another 18,000, is that on to be on second wave or?
My first question is this gonna be done by December? Can the building be built and signed on?
The sign and the building, it's just two different things.
Yeah, I don't, that would be something that's not for me to ask, that's for the committee, but.
Well, we just discussed the 18,000 and they were going to check and see if it could be.
I think that would be a stretch.
But that's your opinion. But
And I think
that they requested.
if I remember correctly, I think one of the other cities asked for that in their original, and the committee was like, nah. But I would have to double check on that.
I think in our conversation with Christine, when we was at it, I wasn't aware that all this was already made up, so
Right.
that would be infringing upon what's already been
I mean, it's
decided, so.
they could make an amended application and send it to the committee.
I would say, once your list goes to state, and some of this gets disapproved, then there could be some other items that could be thrown back in,
Reevaluate.
reevaluated, throw it back in the hat, so to speak.
And this list has already went to the state. Again, it's not set in stone, changes can be made afterwards, but then obviously it'll just go back for reapproval.
Right.
I was hard to say, I made a comment a week ago, or maybe even 2 weeks ago. Coffee County's requesting 312, we're at 12,000. Amount allocated 176,000. And it'd be great for the county to get to 176, but we have funds available, we're in great shape.
Right.
And I haven't talked to any commissioners, I have no idea what their thoughts are. But if we could help school districts more, or small business applications, or cities more, I've been in favor of moving that 176 into some areas that might be more appropriate. It would help our Colleton County. And I don't intend to take the 176 away from the county, but we've got funding in place where we can do it if we would decide. It looks to me like everything's been pretty well put together. And the quicker we submit a letter to these businesses, organizations, whatever it is, to me, we've got a priority to get that letter to them as quick as we can.
Right.
That way they can proceed.
And that's the main reason I'm here, is to get permission from the commission. And I've had a chance to talk to Wade about it as far as like, for the hospital, the cities and the school districts primarily right now. And the hospital, like I said, the committee said that that's $500,000 number for now. With the assumption that it'll be that 690 going forward, but at least for now, but the $500,000.
But again, when you back up and the state doesn't approve that other 190, there's 190 somebody else can pick up on.
Right, or the hospital can well, I mean, the hospital's asked for 866. And so they have other, they have other things that, you know, if there's some things in their first 75% roughly, that get disapproved, they got other things to pull in, if you will. So I don't think it'll be an issue.
Yeah, but again, just because it's on the wish list doesn't mean the state's gonna let them
Right.
spend it. So,
Right. And so, again, my main request is for the hospital, the cities and the school districts is to provide them some sort of letter saying this is the funding level that the commission agrees with and go and you can plan on this dollar amount.
My comment, kind of follow up Don's, is county has expenses in this too. We recoup it, and I don't want to start just giving money away when we don't even know what the results are. Like I said, this went to the state. Let's wait and see how that plays out before we start giving money away. There's reasons we have reserve funds. So that's just my comment.
And, you know, the county can recoup that money for the things that we spent money on. And then later on, it will be that much easier to grant some money out later, not going against the grant guidance of it has to be spent by December. But if we reimburse ourselves, then that money would be here in theory later on.
Well, I want to support the work of the committee as much as possible. And not try to micromanage their decisions, so.
I make the motion that we just proceed with what we've been given.
Does, what do you think the best? Like, commission to write a letter to that effect, or you need to write the letter, or me, or combination?
You're the mouthpiece for the committee, so you can write the letter, I can look at it.
Okay.
But several different things, in case somebody wanted to make the request, the document that you're referencing today, the Coffee County Coronavirus Relief Fund Task Force funding recommendations to Coffee County Commission as of 8/21/2020. And that's just in case someone out there wants to make a request for this particular, it's a spreadsheet. The second part is, although there's some discussion today, the committee, there's quite a bit of discussion when they're going through each of the requests and determining what amounts go where. Those meetings are open to the public. I don't know if the public has taken advantage of and shown up for those meetings, but they are open to the public. And I think that's an important distinction to make, because here we are with the figures being presented to the commission today, but the other side of it is open to the public. I don't know when the next meeting is, which will be
Scheduled right now.
okay. And the next meeting will be advertised in one way or another, either on the county website or through the paper or both, or on Facebook, maybe all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone wants to attend, the next part is all of the applications subject to redactions for personal information, account numbers, those type of things. If someone wanted to make a request to see where their figures came from, that's subject to an open records request. Only reason I mention all of these things is to let the public know that this whole process is transparent. We just have to take advantage of that transparency. The last part I'll mention, in my opinion, time is of the essence. So the letter needs to go out. They need to, everybody who has made an application and who has the ability to, I guess they've been vetted by the board, the committee, and then the board approves it. It's important that that process start so they know how to move forward from this point. And I think a letter needs to go to them so they know that the board has approved or blessed what the committee has done. And then from that point, they can just proceed as I guess the key distinction is there has to be either a resolution or the agreement that each of these entities will use the funds as required by the state, which then ties back to the federal government. And I think that's, everybody knows that. They just need to sign the agreement so that if they're not used properly, then they're gonna have to turn it back over, because ultimately the county, this board, is responsible for the use of those funds.
I'll second that motion to approve the recommendations of the task force. I think they've done a great job with it. See where it goes.
Question. So, I'll draft a letter, you'll review it, then we'll just give it to Donna, she can put it on the commission letterhead and for Tom to sign. And does that need to be, can that be done prior to their next meeting, or?
I think you can sign it.
On behalf of the commission?
I mean, they're approving it right now, so you're the
Approved it.
Just give them the motion.
Well, barring anybody wanting to say nay, I've moved, Bob has seconded, all in favor, say aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. I think that's all I have, unless you guys have anything else for
If
me.
you do need me to sign something, let me know.
Okay.
You got my number.
Pass on a special thank you to the committee for the work they've done, and for the work that they probably yet have to be done. So
Good job.
they spent a lot of time on reviewing the application.
Thank you, Russ.
Yep.
With that being said, Bob, do you wish a break?
Do we have anything else?
Other roundtable, we have nothing.
See the round table.
I have an update if you guys would give me a minute. Okay.
You're fine.
Okay. The update on the door lock at the basement down here.
Okay.
Right. I ordered it. There's 4 parts of it. And one of the parts was delivered to Ohio. And I got a UPS notification that it was delivered. It wasn't delivered to my office. I searched the whole courthouse. Like, where's this thing at? Pulled it up. It was delivered to Miamisburg, Ohio. Immediately called the company, asked where it's at, get it to me, and followed them up with an email. That was 4 weeks ago. Still don't have the part. 2 weeks ago, I got a bill for all the parts. I called their accounting department and let them know, I haven't gotten everything. I'm not gonna pay this bill. They pulled it up, so well, it shows it's all delivered. Look where this one was delivered to, Ohio. I'm like, that doesn't do me any good. And he said, don't pay the bill until you get all the parts. Still waiting on all the parts. But I did get keys. We ordered keys for this, and it needs to be paid. Is this going to be billed through the county general for building, or how do we want to build it? Who wants to pay for it?
Keys goes same place as the lock.
Yes. The keys and the lock are all.
I wouldn't pay any of it until we.
Well, no, I'm sorry, no. It's a different company for the keys. The lock is a separate company. I misunderstood your question. The keys can be used anywhere, yeah.
We ordered the keys, I feel we're probably obligated to
Yes.
pay for them, and we ordered them and have received them.
We have received
It
it.
wasn't
It
their
was a
fault. The lock
separate- It
has-
wasn't the fault of the
it's
lock.
a separate issue.
Yes. Is there a light item for,
Well, we've got capital outlay, so we could do, how much is that?
this is the $700.
Oh, yeah.
It's, yeah. I didn't know who was going to pay the bill. And I wanted to let you know what the deal, what was going on with that lock. It's-
You just want to bring it up.
Have that one in general.
County General. Okay. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you.
When do we decide to do vouchers?
27th, August.
Also have something else?
One thing, we do have a tentative next meeting date set September 15th for the CRM task force, 1:30 in this room. For public knowledge. I stated earlier, we didn't have one set, the next one is set for September 15th, 1:30 in here.
September 15th.
Yep.
Right here at 1:30.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I guess the next thing will be the roundtable. Actually, public comments are welcome. We have 3 members of public here if somebody wants to make a comment. Other than that, roundtable, start with Wade.
Might want to come back to me. I'm gonna request a couple executive sessions. We can take that up now, or we can
Of course you
do it
would.
again.
Angie,
I don't have anything today.
welcome, Tim.
Thank you.
Fred.
I don't have anything.
Nothing.
I'm in good shape, Tom.
We were supposed to have an interview at 1 today. That's been canceled due to lack of participation, so just to let y'all know. And then we are doing vouchers on Thursday, is that correct? The 27th at 9 a.m.?
Yes.
Oh, I have a question. Do we need to do anything about this new application? Are we gonna have an interview or do we need to let Rhonda know?
Actually, yes, did everybody get a chance to read that over? Thank you, Brett. If not, can we set, just set, I'm assuming everybody had a chance to read it over, except for maybe Tim. Need to get Tim a copy and get about a week to flip it over, I guess. Can we set that up for next Monday at 1, or can we set it up for Thursday while we're here? What's your guys' preference? Monday at 1? Monday at 1, if the gentleman's still available, or applicant, I should say. If you would, Donna.
And if you do decide to go ahead and interview him, that will be on Starleaf, and Brad will set it up for you guys.
The most recent applicant.
Yes.
Because he is from another city, is that correct? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's another, if he's available Thursday, if we get those vouchers, I wouldn't see why we couldn't do it Thursday if that works better for him. Let him pick his day, Monday or Thursday,
Okay.
I would say.
Excuse me, if the voucher's not real heavy, of course, we need to do it at 11 o'clock first.
If it's possible, or we could break at 11 and do it. So, let's see what works best for him, Thursday or Monday. Thank you. That'd be all for me. Do you have anything else, Donna?
Lisa's here today with McGrath Human Resources Group, and she's doing the meetings, individual meetings with the employees.
Runs up
She'll be
the
doing
list,
Yes.
Okay.
And then the others that don't have the one-on-one appointments with her will be going online and filling out a survey.
Okay.
And
Anything else?
nope, that's it.
Well, back to Wade then.
So there's a question. I know we have a new commissioner, and I want to make sure before I make a request to go into executive session that there's a distinction in my mind between being elected and appointed. And the only reason I mention that is when I was appointed, the paperwork I got from the Secretary of State's office said I could not perform any act as county attorney until I was appointed by the governor. So I just want to make sure that I don't make a request to go into an executive session and that be illegal. And I think that clarification needs to occur. So it's probably best to take a break, just to be safe.
With that being said, we can just not have him join an executive session. I mean, is it, I know he's done some acknowledgements and, now he's initialing checks and Angie swore him in, so.
I don't have an issue with that. I just want to make sure that the statute is 293902G, and it makes a distinction between after a person has been elected, and then at the end, the last sentence, the person so appointed may qualify and enter upon the duties of the district office immediately after appointment, but that's preceding that. Thereupon, and not later than 7 days after certificates received by the governor, or in the governor's absence, the lieutenant governor shall fill such vacancy by appointing to office the person so elected. In the event the lieutenant governor fails to appoint as required after receiving a lawfully executed certificate, such person shall be deemed to have been so appointed. Notwithstanding such failure, the person so appointed may qualify and enter upon the duties of office immediately after appointment. So,
Well, I mean, would it be fair to just ask Mr. Johnson to set this one out? I mean,
if he can legally be there, then he probably needs to be there. I just want to make sure.
I may get an answer here.
Are you requesting a break so you can clarify your answer?
But I think Angie's checking with the
Okay.
Secretary of State's
All right.
office. So
let's take a break.
You can, Bob.
Say some clarification, that way it'll just.
You got enough height, for probably 200.
ones I don't want to
Beat.
Feels-
Thank you. I knew you were close. Sounds like it'll be a big right.
Are you having moral support today? This is John.
No, they're basic friends.
I see you waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing your best.
Or the last. It's beautiful. They don't talk to you. Yep, I'm ready.
I knew it was too good to be true. You could get out of here, but
Yeah. A lot of birthdays today.
Yes.
That's the case, I'm off my diet today, what, Fred?
Okay. I guess I'm always off mine.
I'm never on mine. Happy birthday, Bob.
Thank you.
What are you, 60?
Close to it.
I'm sorry?
Happy birthday, Bob.
Yes. Thank you. There and
Your nose
plus.
is growing, Bob. Your nose is growing.
60 plus.
Well, at least you didn't change that to 70.
I can do that too.
If you guys go into executive session, the economic development conference room is not available because Lisa's having the interviews in there.
Probably need to let Wade know that.
Okay.
We- Yeah.
Yeah, those, the blue ones go, or just leave them there, she'll get back.
I'm still working on that.
Just got a little late here, so.
Lisa is hosting her meetings with employees.
Okay.
If you guys go into executive session.
We got no other place to.
Yeah, the blue ones, is usually not a rush for it, but the yellow ones, Angie likes to get those. Yeah, so
I learned that, and I'll do it first. She's been patient.
Yeah, there's a lot to get on to.
Can we go down to GOC?
If you ever have any questions, don't be afraid to ask.
I'll ask you another place to go. With it.
Go see Chelsea.
Yeah, check on those days.
Okay, it'll be all the expenditures of the county this year.
Okay.
So Tom will be signing checks. We'll be going through the expenditures and making sure they are okay with us.
Okay, can I ask this? Should I do that at a later time, or is that?
Usually done together, I don't know. That'd be a question.
Tom,
Yes?
on Thursday, 9 o'clock,
Uh-huh.
does that have to be together, or could I do that at 4 o'clock?
My knowledge is always done together.
So go
I
ahead
know
and
that's short notice, or I mean, you can't show up there, there's 4 of us here.
You don't have to be here.
how do you guys feel?
My opinion is we should do it together, because if there's questions, we have a chance everybody gets the answers. And if you don't approve it, I guess we would like to know why you don't approve it. And if there would be one other that didn't approve it, then that,
I can
we could
understand
discuss
that.
and figure out why we're not approving it or why we will allow it. It's best if everyone's here.
Right.
A lot of our voucher sessions are done immediately after our regular meetings, but it's also got to tie in the date's gotta tie in with the month end too, so,
Alright.
but we're not sure you can even,
I can use the date.
you may not even be able to sign them
Alright.
Thursday either,
Alright.
until we get a confirmation.
He signed some today.
He's signing today.
Well,
We should have done this from discovery ahead of time, I guess.
And if you're not able to be here for some reason, people have personal reasons sometimes why they aren't here, that's fine. It takes 3 signatures to
It only takes 3.
approve, but we would like to have everyone if possible.
Right.
And you probably have quite a few questions maybe too.
Yeah.
So that way we all be willing to give you an answer why.
Right.
Hey, Tim, whenever you get a chance, I need to get with you to get you drug tested and also get some information.
What's the rule, kids?
You have to be appointed by the governor first. Or if it's not done within 7 days.
And then he probably shouldn't sign it then.
So what about that he's already signed the vouchers?
We'll just have to go back through and cross it out.
Well, and some of these weren't signed, so they're okay.
So that being the case, no need for him to be here Thursday.
Yeah, he can be here, I think, we just can't.
I guess he can still be here, but just couldn't sign.
He just can't act in the official capacity. So the way that statute is written is once you're elected, go up to the governor has to act within 7 days. Because he was just elected Thursday, we're not within that 7-day period. If the governor doesn't appoint within the 7 days, then it becomes automatic. But my concern was, it doesn't say that in the statute, just, we gotta follow what the statute says.
If you have a reason. to
Okay.
go on.
He seconded one motion this morning, I
He
know.
made it, yeah.
We're gonna have to go back and it's gonna have to be cleaned up. I didn't know that occurred. I don't know if I was here.
Well,
Okay,
the kind of questions being sworn in anyway, but
Well, he can be sworn in, he just can't, and
I didn't know.
okay, Thursday, we're doing checks and vouchers. Is that the 7th day, or will he have to wait till Friday?
Probably Friday because he was elected after 5 o'clock on Thursday.
And you won't have to be here Thursday then.
Yeah.
Take care of that.
Well, yeah,
We're still working out some
Took care of that.
clarifications.
well,
Unless
I
something
understand.
comes from the governor before.
Okay, and let-
Okay, with that being said, where you at, Wade?
we need, Tom, we need to clean up the motion.
Yes.
The one on dump week,
Tim made a motion.
On dump week, cleanup week,
so
so
someone make the motion, Fred seconded, I don't know if you still want to remain in the second.
well, since he can't make the motion, I'll make the motion.
I'll second that motion.
all in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Motion passes 4-0.
All right, what about the motions he voted on? Will those be 4-0s or 4-1-0s or whatever they might be then?
It'd have to be.
Yeah, for all the motions that he was a part of, his vote has to be stricken because he can't act in that official capacity. So I guess I'll ask, all the motions he voted on, were they all unanimous motions?
Yes.
Or- So it's clear.
I'll just move those to be 4-0s.
Well, we are glad you're here.
Way to go, bud. First day.
Sundays are bad.
That's the way it goes. That being said, Wade needs some executive sessions.
And I apologize for doing that, but that's part of why you have me here, to make sure that statutes are followed. And I was mainly focused on executive session. So
You're fine. If you don't make a mistake, we're never doing anything, how's that?
Good point. I'm gonna request a motion for the commission to recess into executive session for consultation with the county counselor for the purpose of providing legal advice related to county policy of the governing body for matters deemed privileged under the attorney-client relationship, exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, KSA 754319B2, 20 minutes.
With the commission and council.
But he needs to be aware that that room is not available.
Oh, yes, that, Lisa has doing interviews in there, so we're gonna go to the EOC, kitchen of the EOC.
The kitchen.
Is that all right?
Or can we go back upstairs to that room? Or in, where?
I had Donna check on the kitchen at the EOC and we can shut the doors and it's,
Is it closed off? I don't remember.
we have to close doors at each end, yes.
Okay. That's fine.
You comfortable?
So moved.
Don moves. Need a second?
I'll second.
Fred seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get, we'll go in at 10:33 and we'll, you said 20 minutes? right?
Yeah.
20 minutes, that'd be 10:53.
If you want to talk to me for about 5 minutes, is that okay? Then I'll come up to your office.
That's fine.
All right.
How are you?
Very-
Okay, for a Monday.
Yeah.
Where's the restroom? On the bottom level? All the way, well, I don't think you can get through that door, so you'll have to go up the stairs here. And it's right across the hall from the environmental health office.
We won't label it because hasn't way of showing us that we're wrong, so.
There's a, if they're in for another 4 or 5 minutes, of executive session.
Angie, who do I talk about the email for Coffee County
Right.
address. Brad. All right, we'll do that. All right.
Did you have another one, Wade?
Yes.
Was it an executive session as well?
Yes. If we can call the county treasurer now.
Okay.
Any words of wisdom today?
I figured if I had executive sessions, no one would care about the words of wisdom.
I think they're interesting. I think Lindsay might have something to work on.
You got something, Lindsay?
If that's okay.
You is entirely welcome, yes.
Thank you very much.
Right time.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a little COVID update for, as of right now, I can't even do a case count for you. I'm sorry, I was on call all weekend, so my brain's a little fried, but, I think we're up to like 6 or 7 cases right now. We did get a new one over the weekend and another one, that we'll report out today, but we also are recovering 3. And I do want to let everybody know that almost half of our cases are coming from an outbreak in another county. We have people that live here and work elsewhere, and that is the case with half of what we have right now. So we have everyone in isolation or quarantine that needs to be, and we're working with our partners on it. But at this time, it might look like things are increasing a little bit, but it's being very well contained, and people are working with us very well. So I just wanted you all to know that we are dealing with a fallout from stuff from other counties. So that's all we have.
Other than that, from what I've seen on my emails, it's not like a lot. It's just
No, and it's,
minute.
yeah, I think it's what we expect. We expect to continue to see cases, and it is, I think we do need to note that as, oh, hi, Tim. Welcome. Sorry to have my back to you. I think we do need to note that as kids return back to school, they are being tested at their colleges and universities, and those numbers do reflect back to us, even though they're living in the dorms or on campus. So I think we do need to know that that's going to happen, and that's going to increase our numbers. And when you're testing a lot of asymptomatic people, you're bound to get some positives. But again, they're working with us and following through the motions with that. So I'm doing what they need to do.
Thank you for the update.
Yeah, thank you guys very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Karen's here.
I will request the commission's
a motion for the commission to recess into executive session to discuss matters related to security measures to protect the public body or agency pursuant to the security measures exception under KSA 754319B12, and the security measures relate to financial information related to the government body. Myself, the commission, the treasurer, and the county clerk.
For a period of
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Need a motion? Bob moved.
Second.
Fred seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. We're going at 10:59. Yep. 11:19. No, I'm math in my head. You're real good. I'm losing it. We're gonna run EOCs.
Okay, I'll just follow.
That's the, yeah.
Mhm. Sure.
Yeah. The biggest. Yep. Hello. Yep. Play football. Rachel's, Rachel's first school practice. Was a UC. Well, yeah. Well, yep. Yep. A combination of in person and online. I think Ian says they have like one day in class for them, and the rest of the week is online. Yep. It's weird times. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Exactly. The hell of it is when you do it for 5 or 6 years. Then but still, even with the.
So I'll clean out your book from today, that notebook I gave you.
Yes.
I'll clean it out and then I'll fill it back up with next Monday's meeting stuff.
All right.
So at the end of the meeting, just leave it there unless there's something in there that you want to keep. Then I'll just clean it out and I'll use it for next Monday too.
That'll work great. That'll work great. Not to put you on the spot, Donna, how long does these usually last on the 27th?
27, usually, you mean like for checks and vouchers?
Yeah.
We're lucky to get out by 11. But see, at times it looks where they can do it on the Monday meeting that is so. There's that. Did you lay this there, Russell?
Yeah.
Okay.
That just came in on email this morning. so
Okay.
I can come back. I called them and asked them if it really meant anything. If they want me to come back in and talk about it, I can.
Oh, okay. What's the revision?
Well, I think it's basically something that they normally set out ahead of time, but we've already provided them sites, and so we're kind of ahead
Okay.
of the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's just kind of their guidance for site selection. And since we've already gave them some, it's kind of a
Okay.
afterthought, I guess you want to say.
I think I forwarded that out to their emails and then I also put it in correspondence.
Well, that just came an email this morning,
Okay,
and her first email, the attachment wasn't with it.
okay.
And so then I emailed her back and said attachment, she goes, oh, whoops. So,
It's not in here, so, okay. Thank you.
Was your head swimming yet?
Yes.
Okay,
Is that good?
sure. Means you're listening, right?
I am.
It'll take a while,
Yep.
a lot to learn.
So, yeah, sometime when you have some time, I can give you a little tour, the Emergency Operations Center especially.
Tell him about the drills and all that kind of good stuff.
If we ever get back into having, we will someday, but who knows when. Time will tell.
Yes.
You don't still have them with Wolf Creek?
Well, they're on, we had a semi-virtual one the other day where we just had one person play the county. Kind of a Simsdale deal. So I mean, it's still,
Well, they don't have a lot of people at work either, because they
Exactly.
got a lot of people working at home.
so it's still in limbo, trying to figure out where everything went. All that good stuff.
You got your hands full now with your stuff.
Yep.
I do. I do. Okay. That's what she's working on one. Denise said she was gonna check.
Oh, technology.
Yes,
set it up, Brad.
T.E. Johnson. I think we better because you've got Tom.
Yeah, okay,
So T.E. Johnson at.
okay. So did you talk to Brad?
No, I didn't. Denise was gonna
Okay.
set it up that way.
Okay. Good.
All right.
So, we'll just, as soon as that's the.
Alright. Of course not. And Donna,
Yeah,
I'm gonna include, if it's not an emergency, I've got a house phone
okay,
and I've got a recorder so I can call back when I get home at 3:30 every
Okay,
night.
okay.
If I need to contact you or you need me.
Okay.
The company phone, it is a company phone supplied to me.
okay,
So they can keep in contact with
Okay,
me.
yeah.
So.
okay.
Does that
So
make
which is
sense?
the best one to contact you on?
If you think I really need to know about it, go ahead and contact me on the cell phone and I'll get back with you.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll put phone.
Just hand this out.
Is that okay?
The Goldberg
Okay.
Architects.
That's an interesting project, that.
May I hand out something too?
Sure.
Okay, because of a new commissioner, I had already talked to the bank about the fact of, the signature card had Cody's name on it, but we're trying to get things around. If I understood from what I was watching this morning, he hasn't been sworn in, so I don't have the signature cards that I'll get those later. But Central National Bank has changed their, account policy, and there's a form that has to be filled out by everybody who is going to be or possibly be a signer on the account. So I can just give these to Donna. I just have an envelope, so once you put it on there, because it does have your date of birth, social security number and all that, if you could seal that in the envelope, then I will just take that information, all the envelopes. There's a place for you to put your name on it, so I know who's all I've gotten. And then I'll take all those to the bank, because they need like your driver's license number, cell phone numbers. It's a thing to fill out for Central now, so.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll
This,
just give
this
that.
is new, because I've been here a couple of years now.
They just gave those to me when Cody went off. They said, well, because you're gonna have to do new signature cards once the new one comes on, and then from now on, they're required.
Okay, all right.
But like I said, I did put an envelope, so you could seal it up, because I do not want to have access to that information.
Good, thank you.
Dan, I have a question. If I choose to be exempt, is that all right?
He's be leaving this year.
Oh, it's whoever we're gonna want to sign on it, so I would say yes. I can double check with the bank before next week, because I won't get signature cards. Why don't you go ahead and fill one of these out? But then when it comes time to actually sign the signature card, all this is making sure they have all your information since you're considered a signer. And I suppose it would be so if you called in and said,
If he would refuse to sign anything, they wouldn't need it, right?
right, I wouldn't,
I think at this point, I just choose to be exempt.
okay. So, then I wouldn't fill one of that, I'll let the bank know what your choice is there, so. But, and then I'll get some copies, I have some copies to take to the clerk's office for all of their people and a couple of us in my office.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Don said Stuckey dropped us off some updated information from the Goldberg project. I'll call it Goldberg project. Jail. Something to look over. We do not have the interview today at 1. We're gonna try and get the next one set up for either Thursday or next Monday, so.
I talked to Rhonda about it, and she was gonna give him a call and see what he chose, what works best for him.
Okay. That being said, anybody else have anything?
I do.
We'll adjourn at 11:22. Nice to meet you, Tim.
Thank you, nice to meet you. I'm glad to be.
See you next time.
I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah.
I should pass those down.
All right, yeah. I'll stay put.
Okay, let me get this.
Oh, I was just gonna text you.
Give you one.
Are you